In this tutorial I'm going to show you how you can create these dreamy renderings with Cinema 4D and Redshift in just a few minutes with gradient HDRs. So let's get started. So firstly we need gradient HDRs. That's why I created a gradient HDR freebie pack so that you can follow along, but I also got a gradient HDR full pack with all the 27 gradient HDRs that I'm using in my artwork. You can find them on my Gumroad and I will link everything in the description below so you can follow along with the freebie and support me if you get the full pack for just €5. I think it's really worth it and consider that. But that is just the starting point. We have to start with a blank cinema file. So before we do anything else, let's just drag and drop an FBX model inside of here so that we got a new scene with this FBX model. These are just some rigged hands that I created in DAZ Studio. I can also make a tutorial for that someday. It's nothing too complicated, just play around with it, but let me know in the comments if you want to see something like that in the future. So now we got the FBX model inside of here, but we don't have any of the basic setup yet. So let's press Ctrl and B to get into the render settings and turn the renderer to Redshift. I will also make a tutorial for physical renderer and for Blender if you would like to, but let's first set here a ratio of 9:16, so we kind of get this. Let's assume we do this for an Instagram reel, for example, or for a TikTok. So now we got that scene, and the next thing that we should do is to get a camera inside of here. Since we already set the renderer to Redshift, we can just click on the standard camera, so it's going to create a Redshift camera, and let's position that at all 0 just to have a blank canvas to work with first, and then we are obviously too close, so let's zoom out. Now I'm thinking, what kind of lens do we want to use? We want, I don't think, a lot of distortion, so let's go with something like 80mm focal length, and we can maybe zoom a little bit out again. Maybe that's kind of the look I want. So what else can we set here? We could already set the background here. That's going to be interesting for later. That I think came in one of the recent Redshift updates, that you don't set the background in the dome light anymore, but here. So if you want to have a clear color, for example, as the background, I usually like to use this kind of dark mode color 2021-24 as the hex code, but we don't really need that for later. I think that doesn't make much of a difference, so anyway, we can keep that for the moment. What we can do though, and we will also get back to the bokeh later, but what we can do is to animate the camera pretty easily. So now we have set up the camera as we want it to look like, and now we can create a null object. So this is just a null that is at 0, 0, 0, just at the center point of the world, and now we can just drag and drop the camera underneath the null object. So what we have now is basically a group that has the center point of the world as the center, basically. So what we can do now is that we can animate the null object. So how we do that is basically we go to the null object, then we go to the coordinates, and if we want the camera to rotate around the center, we just basically do this kind of thing. So we need keyframes for that. So let's go to the 0 frame and let's do the add keyframe here. So we have 0 rotation. So now let's maybe make the animation a bit longer by adding maybe 90 extra frames. Let's zoom out here. We don't really have to do that, but anyway, we can also skip here to the last point and then do a rotation, of course, of 360 if we want to rotate around the object completely, and add a new keyframe. So now we should have an animation basically once around the hands. But as you will know if you ever use keyframes in cinema, on default they are not linear, so this will kind of look like it's starting and stopping slowly, and we kind of want to have it more looping. So let's get a bit more real estate here and then select all the keyframes. And again, if you have to zoom out, you can do that here, and then set them to linear. So now it's going to look like a real loop where the camera is going around the object. There's still one more thing, or maybe not, it doesn't look so obvious here, but usually you will see that it kind of stops for one frame, and that is because we have the 360 degrees at the last frame and 0 degrees at the first frame. So we basically have the same position twice. So let's just change this here by showing only the animation from frame 1 to 180. That's usually how I do it. Maybe there are better ways. I'm not such an expert on keyframes, but good enough to do that. So anyway, we can see the animation now. One thing you might have noticed, but we can get back to that later again, but let's just do it now. The focal point is very far in the distance right now. There's an easy fix to that. Let's jump into the camera and then go to, I think, optical, right? And here we can set the depth of field. We will get back to that later again, but we can select the focus distance. So we can click on this little icon and then just, for example, focus on this finger, and you will see the number is updated. So now it's focused on that. So that is that. Now we have a basic animation and we can look at it. Looks kind of cool, but there is no gradient yet. There's nothing, no color. If we render it now, it will look very boring. So the next thing that we will do is to add a dome light, because the dome light is basically what HDRs use in cinema. So let's go to the lights and then let's go to dome light. So Redshift, lights, dome light. Once we are in the dome light, we can have a quick look at the settings, but we don't really need to change anything just yet because we don't have a texture yet. So the texture is the very first step that we have to take. So I already have the path, so I just copy and paste the path inside, and it should, maybe it doesn't update right now because we already set the background color to a different color. But if we quickly go back to the camera and turn off the background and go to render settings, we can see the gradient HDR in the background. But I want to kind of keep it more clean and have a clean kind of background, so that's why I set the background in the camera. So now we have the gradient HDR set as our dome light. So now all the light information is predetermined by the colors of the HDR, which is really cool because otherwise you would have to set a lot of different lights and give them all different colors. So that would be a lot of work. So this is much easier and even looks better, I think. So let's have a first look at it, and let's just open the RS render viewer and let's put it right next to our viewport, maybe inside here like that. And now we can just start rendering. And let's make sure that it fits the window. It does. And now we already kind of see this look. I mean, it already kind of looks cool, but the one thing that we don't have is a material. So this already works if we just use the standard default material, like don't putting a material on it at all, but we can do a lot more with that. So let's open the material manager over here and let's create a material, a Redshift material. A few updates ago, it kind of changed that there's also the standard material, but I like to use the material first because in here we already get the presets. So the presets just moved here a while ago, but with the presets we kind of can get this, let's say, silver, so kind of a more reflective material than I don't know, setting it up manually. I mean, we can set it up manually, but it's a bit quicker. So let's have a look at it now. And oops, we of course should put the material onto the object. So now you can see the difference even more clear. Now we get all the reflections. So that's usually what you want to have. This is just a quick reminder that you can tremendously support me by leaving a like and a comment on this video, subscribing to my channel and turning on the notifications. You can also go to Instagram and follow me there to see my other work and to stay up to date with future tutorials. You can also find the project files in the description below. They are completely free, but you can still leave a tip on Gumroad, which means the world to me. So thank you for your support, and let's get back to the tutorial. One more thing that we can do to the material to make it a bit more intriguing is just opening it again and adding some kind of imperfection to it. So that's usually a roughness imperfection in the reflection. And therefore I'm just inserting a texture here that's going to be linked in the description as well. And I'm going to use that texture and gonna put it into the reflection and then reflection roughness. If we have a look at the texture, we can see it's this grayscale texture, so it's gonna determine what is rough and what is not rough. So now that we have the surface imperfection in the reflection roughness channel of the material, we can render this again and it's gonna look a bit more grungy, so it gives it a little bit more character. We could also use a ramp to affect how rough we want it to be, or we can affect it with basic other nodes, but let's just keep it like that for the moment. What I also like to add to make it a bit more interesting is to add a Redshift environment to the scene. So now you can see everything looks very white. So that is not really what we want, but we would rather like to have something like fog. So let's put this scattering down, that's still too much, but let's put the tint also to the color of the background that I set here, to make it a bit darker. So it's going to be 20, 21, 24, and that already looks much better. So in order to make this even more interesting, now that we have the scene basically set up, is to give it a bit of bokeh. So we can turn that on inside of the Redshift camera in the optical and then bokeh. And here the aperture is going to set to 8 by default. And if we're going to put that down a lot, we can get this like very stylized effect where really only like a few centimeters or millimeters are in focus. So I really like the look of that, and I think that works pretty well. With all of that, we already have the basic setup for our scene, so we can kind of jump into the render settings. So this is not going to be a tutorial about all the render settings, but I will just give you a bit of the stuff that I usually like to do in this kind of a scene. So we already have set Redshift as the renderer, and we can now save this to a folder with where our animation goes if we want to have an animation. Otherwise you can just render it in here, obviously. We can turn on the alpha channel. There's a bit of a workaround how you can make the alpha channel work if you use the environment and the backplate and stuff like that. I'm not going to show you that in this tutorial, but if you're interested and want an extra tutorial for that, just let me know. I can explain that as well in the future. So now we can go into, and we can stop the rendering here, we can go into the Redshift section of the render settings and then set this to advanced for the moment. Because one thing I like to do is just add a little bit of motion blur and deformation blur. I always have a hard time to kind of estimate how much of an effect it has, but I find it makes it a bit more natural. And we can also set the shutter to movie because we have a moving image and not a still image that we are rendering. However, the rest of the settings I usually don't touch, or I usually touch, but I'm not going to explain everything about that here. You can find other tutorials for that, and I can also make a tutorial for that in the future. But what I also like to add, which is hidden under the effects here, is the Redshift post effect or post processing. So one thing I like to add here is the bloom, especially in this kind of a scene with the gradient HDR, if we want to have it in this kind of moody look. So I usually crank up the intensity to 4 right away, and then let's lower the threshold, and the softness can go up a bit as well. So this already looks very shiny, as you can see. This also updates if you don't render in the moment, but it just does the post effect. So you can just have this progressively rendered to a few percent and then just check how it looks. Going too little with the threshold is going to make it a bit too much. I think this is pretty neat. So this is the before, this is the after. It gives it this kind of neat look. And one more thing, of course, is to set the output to all frames if you have an animation like I do, and we would render frame 1 to frame 180. And now you could just send it to your picture viewer. So I will not do that now because while I'm recording, the rendering is going to take too much time. But anyway, now you will basically get the entire thing. So let's not look at that for too long, otherwise the computer is going to give up. But again, the reminder that you can get the freebie pack to follow along on my Gumroad, so make sure to check that out in the description below. And if you want to support me and like this style of rendering and want to use a bit more complex gradients and a bigger variety of gradients for your renderings, then just check out the full gradient HDR pack. That would really mean a lot to me. Besides that, make sure to follow me on Instagram for future updates and subscribe and turn on the notifications. I'm usually streaming these days, so you get the stream notifications as well. And I'm going to make future tutorials, as I mentioned, for the physical renderer and for Blender. And there's a lot of other tutorials coming in the future. So stay tuned and I will see you in the next one.